No edge at 16. An interesting tweet from a trusted source. But first, it's time to show some damn appreciation. What do I mean? Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Cardinals, Alex Clancy here. Follow me on Twitter at Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked On AC Cards. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen, free wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Stay tuned for the Armada Player of the Week later in the show. So here's the thing. We're going to be doing some stuff today to kick off draft week, okay? I've been looking at the newest iteration, the Jordan Reed, ESPN 7-round mock draft, the NFL.com mock draft, other mock drafts, and I'm starting to see a trend that's been ramping up over the last, 2 waves of mock drafts. It ain't an edge at 16 for the Cardinals, and it's fascinating. And I didn't know. I thought that this is the way that it should have gone, and starting to see it come to fruition is fascinating. The short list of position is edge rush, defensive tackle, offensive line. That's kind of where it is. And I think we knew that. That's not something that was a surprise. But it's fascinating to see things start to unfold as we're 96 hours away from the draft, that edge is just gone, which is interesting. Josh Winefuss, ESPN, I've known for a long time in the space. He tweeted out something very interesting about somebody who he spoke to over the weekend or late last week. And it deserves a segment because it's something that kind of mirrors what I was talking about last week, but not in the exact same way. The end result is the same, but not exactly the same way. It's just an interesting little wrinkle. First, I think this just needs as a hard reset before we go into Thursday. An appreciation for what Monti Ossenfort has done. Okay. So for the naysayers, no, it hasn't been perfect. For the naysayers, no, their roster isn't complete yet. And yet, yes, this is the third offseason and third draft. Okay. This is always what the plan was. There's no way that you take less than 50% retention after the 2022 season and make them a playoff team in a year. It just doesn't happen, especially with Kyler Murray being, having his ACL torn and rehabbing that first year. Okay. So while they wowed at times last year, and while it was kind of an homage to their 7-0 and 10-2 season, just, a level lower because the expectations were far lower, but the end result was the same, sputtered out after their bye week. And this is a very, familiar spot that the team finds themselves in. With all that said, he's nailed 2 drafts. He's nailed 2 off seasons, now 3, in exactly what the Cardinals needed at that specific time. You're not going to give boatloads of money to free agents when the team isn't ready and the quarterback's got an ACL tear that he's rehabbing. And then this past offseason, the free agent class wasn't great. Okay, so you can't rush the process here. And I know, especially longtime Arizona Cardinals fans don't like to hear that. And it's fine. And we've gone back and forth. We've commiserated. We've had conversations. It's something that just wasn't rational for what the Cardinals needed at that given time. And then you see what happened this offseason. Okay? It was about a year ago now, Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones and Sean Murphy Bunting is now Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Calais Campbell. Okay? So you're starting to slowly see the foundation and the floor rise. And this season, going into 2025, it's not about the ceiling. It's about the floor, predominantly on offense. But when you bring in those 3 guys to shore up the weakest part of their team last year, it shows a move forward. And then you look at the draft, the players that he's drafted. Okay, Paris Johnson Jr. is going to be the left tackle for a long time. Garrett Williams is going to be, their slot corner for a long time, and he's going to get paid handsomely, if not this offseason, next. And Marvin Harrison Jr., while not exactly what people wanted, even though I told you he's going to be the third option in 2024, his numbers were not going to be gaudy. He wasn't drafted to save the offense. Almost 900 yards and 8 touchdowns, not bad for a rookie campaign. being the third option in a run-first offense with an all-world tight end one who's the first option in the pass game. Not bad. And we'll see, naturally, with Biggio Ojulari and Darius Robinson, who've dealt with injuries their first year and second year, respectively. And you've got guys in later rounds. Max Melton, obviously, a second-round pick. Xavier Thomas. Isaiah Adams, who's slated to be the right guard at this point, depending on what the Cardinals do in the draft. Like, it's been pretty damn good what the Cardinals have done. He hired a head coach who has never coached before. He hired an offensive coordinator who's never been an offensive coordinator before. He hired a defensive coordinator who's never been a defensive coordinator, and he's not 33 years old. And what they've done is added stability to an organization that is, for the majority of the time, never been stable. You'd say a lot of that was the ownership from the beginning of time. What Monti Ossenfort has done is controlled his controllables and the people, below him, not below him, but down the list, coaches, players. And they're putting out a respectable product every week. And while that seems like you're grasping at breadcrumbs when other organizations have the full loaf of bread already baked, that is a situation that you cannot compare to other organizations. Some you can, some you can't. And they're on their own journey here, man. And there's still a lot of questions, but I'll tell you what, they're the good questions. And they were the good questions going into last season also. How quickly will this guy become elite? Because we're starting to see elite already. Garrett Williams. Trey McBride, even though you give kudos to Steve Keim for that. The offensive line looked excellent through 10 weeks last year, going to their bye week 11. They've got the making of a team that's ready to pop. And before he took over, it looked like a team that was on the verge of relegation. And 2021, I'm not forgetting what happened in 2021. I'm not forgetting what happened in the first 8 weeks of 2020. But the way things were handled, how the little things were done, never had the foundation or strength to be able to facilitate something big to happen. And what we're seeing now, it started in week 1 of 2023 in Washington. It's like, holy crap. Can you name 2 defensive players the Cardinals have? I mean, I could, but they almost beat Washington. I know it was Sam Howell's, first start as a starter. I think he started the year before a little bit, but starting in 2023 was automatic, immediately different. And that was with no talent. That was with a quarterback who'd been with the team for less than 2 weeks. And you come into last season and you started to see things where it's like, okay, if the offense isn't so Jekyll and Hyde, this team could make a playoff push. And if you add a couple pieces on defense, mainly in the front, interior defensive line, and on the edge, this team could make a playoff push. They've done those things. And then on the precipice of his third draft, where they've got as much wiggle room as they want, they can do whatever they want, and it won't fracture the future. Whatever they want. Say they can pick at 16, just pick, don't move at all, cool. Move around all you want. Give up a little future draft capital, a little current draft capital in 2025. It's not going to fracture anything. They've got money. They've got the majority of their young it makes sense that it would be. They've got a lot of guys on rookie scale contracts who are making impacts. So you can have a little bit more wiggle room money-wise. Say they wanted to trade for Jalen Ramsey. I'm just saying this as an example. They 100% could, and it wouldn't shatter anything. It wouldn't shatter anything. It wouldn't jettison the future. It wouldn't be a Hail Mary attempt to save someone's job. It's just something that's an ecosystem that's been built since Monti Ossenfort took over, who has never had a GM role before. And he's added stability to the weather that was just hurricanes in Arizona. That's all it was. So giving a little appreciation, I think, is absolutely necessary. There's still a lot of TBD with this team, but they're in the best position going into a draft to make a pop that we've seen in a while. Sustainability, picks, money, players already on the roster. If they didn't have a draft this year and they went into 2025 with this roster, they'd be competitive. And now you've got 6 picks. which could turn into 100 knowing him. It could turn into 3, depending on what they want to do, especially what we're going to discuss in the next segment. The Arizona Cardinals are in a great spot to be able to make a massive impact on, draft weekend and be ready to rip going into week 1. And that's thanks to Monti Ossenfort. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Interesting tweet. We'll discuss it next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by our friends over at Amazon Fire TV. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required, man. Just grab your pair of controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, and Avowed, as easily as you can stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscriber services like Netflix, Prime TV, Disney Plus, Max, and more. Just go to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4 Max 1st and 2nd generation, and Fire TV Cube 3rd generation. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. So, I'm excited. Okay. I'm excited. And I'm excited because I've discussed this some before, all they have. Opportunity and possibility. The possibilities are endless with what they can do. And, barring drafting a position they're obviously not going to draft, they can do whatever the hell they want. Truly. They can do whatever they want. You want to go for it? You want to go for it and draft at 16 and move back into the first round? You can do it. You'll still have a 3rd round pick. You still have a 4th round pick. You may have to give up, your 4th round pick this year. It doesn't matter. Here's the thing. The Cardinals don't need to get younger, okay? Their salary cap situation right now is stable. They've got another year before they're going to have to start the restructuring with the contract extensions and everything like that. They can do whatever they want. Draft picks are the most overvalued entity in professional sports, okay? So what I'm about to discuss here is going to be an exercise in that. So, Josh Winefuss, ESPN longtime writer, a friend of mine, he's, been on the beat for a long time with the Cardinals, does a fantastic job. This was his tweet from the 18th of April. A source told me today that it wouldn't be a surprise if the Cardinals trade back into the later portion of the first round to target a developmental position. So, I misread this initially. I thought that this meant that they were going to trade back from 16. That is not what this tweet means. A source told me today that it wouldn't be a surprise if the Cardinals trade back into the later portion of the first round to target a developmental position. That's Josh Winefuss at Josh Winefuss on Twitter, Arizona Cardinals writer for ESPN. This is what I'm talking about. So when during the open where I was teasing, I said the Cardinals could have 2 first-round picks. This isn't what I meant. I said that 47 is pretty much a first-round pick with all the quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs going before. Now, the Cardinals can move back up into the late 20s. This, to me, would completely flip my idea of what they do at 16. Because that means to me that it would be Josh Simmons, who would play right tackle, Ohio State. Justin Fry was his offensive line coach. Justin Fry is now the offensive line coach for the Arizona Cardinals. You have him and Paris Johnson Jr. as the bookends for the future. And if he doesn't start, which is what the developmental part of what Josh's tweet was, you have Jonah Williams, you have Kelvin Beachum, and what better guy like Kelvin Beachum to mentor young offensive linemen? That could be Gray Zabel, okay? But Gray Zabel doesn't seem to be a guy that's developmental. I think he's more ready to rip. I don't care where he went to college. I don't care where he went to college. I don't care at all. Just watch a senior, watch tape. In my opinion, I don't think it matters at all. So developmental, Josh Simmons, Gray Zabel. I don't know if it would be an off-ball linebacker. I think that they're good to go with what they've got. But that would be fascinating. I would love to see what the capital is because that's you moving up 20 spots. So I don't know if that means you give a second this year and a second next year. I don't know if you have to give like the ideal scenario, barring trading a player with it. Like, I don't know. They can't move Zaven Collins. It's just not something that he hasn't played well enough. His contract is team friendly. I just don't, and I think people love him. So I don't think that would be a move. Like, they don't have any players they can trade really to make it worth it. Jalen Thompson, maybe. But like, I wonder what the capital would be to move up 20 spots. You're not giving a first round pick. So would that mean a third this year and a third next year? A third this year and a fourth next year to move up? And if they want to, do it. This is the perfect time to do it. This year and next year. This is the window. And when you look at where the Cardinals are, you look at the roster construction. Like one of the things I was watching the NFL Stock Exchange. It's Trevor Sikkema and Connor Rogers. They do a fantastic job over there. And they had Ben Solak, who is now with ESPN. He and Trevor were with Locked On years ago. They were doing their mock draft for the Cardinals, and like they were doing the mock draft for everybody, but they were doing the mock draft for the Cardinals. And Ben Solak brought up something very interesting. He's like, they've got so many bodies on the interior of the defensive line already. They've got so many. Bilal Nichols, Justin Jones, Darius Robinson, Calais Campbell, Dante Stills, Dalvin Tomlinson. That's 6. That's fine. That position is fine. Okay? They've got plenty of corners, like 16. Like if Will Anderson, if Will Johnson's there and you can move back in and draft an offensive tackle in the first round, you can do whatever the hell you want. They don't need to get younger. They have depth in the positions they didn't have depth in before. So if you get 2 first rounders, obviously you're giving up your second round pick. Even if you have to give up your third round pick this year to move up, who cares? They're not that far away. Just like I said with the defensive line before they signed Calais and Dalvin Tomlinson, it's like they're far away, but they're 2 signings away from being there. And I don't care how old Calais is. I don't care how old Dalvin Tomlinson is. The dudes will be able to elevate that room immediately. And then you move Darius Robinson inside. You've got Dante Stills, who's been a steal of the draft over the last couple seasons. And you've got edge rush help talent that allows the interior defensive line's job to be easier to collapse the pocket from the interior. Like, you don't need to draft all of these rounds. You don't have to. They're so young. Like, name a position that's old on this team, not even running back. Sure, you take a running back in the 7th round, you take a flyer. You sign Nick Chubb, for crying out loud, who's still a free agent. Like, you can piecemeal the running back room, especially with James Conner leading the charge. Like, that's not something that worries me. What worries me is offensive line, corner depth. That's it. And if you can get an edge rusher in the 3rd round, depending on what they have to do, move back, if this is something that actually comes to fruition, yeah, deal with it then. But you're getting 2 first-round picks. It's not like you're moving up and you're just giving away draft capital. You're getting to move back into the 1st round after nailing a pick at 16. And the pick at 16 has been fascinating as all hell because it seems like edge is becoming less and less prevalent. Is it like just being tired of constantly doing it and having to change things up and change things up and change things up? I don't know, but we're going to discuss it next. And it's just fascinating to me that I'm not seeing a whole lot of edge at 16. There's one name that was tied to the Cardinals and is now tied to maybe being out of the 1st round. Maybe that has something to do with it. I'll discuss it next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by our friends at Nissan. The Armada Player of the Week is brought to you by our friends at Nissan and the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Each week, we're taking a look at our draft prospects to pick one guy that stands apart and the guy we believe showcases the strength and power needed to push the Arizona Cardinals forward as we look ahead to next season. This week's Armada and Clear-Cut Player of the Week is Will Johnson. So here's the thing. Will Johnson only played a handful of games last year. It's like a cheat code because injuries now, if a guy in college misses a handful of games or misses, a chunk or tears his ACL or things like that, like it's not what it once was. Look at Garrett Williams. Like recovery from ACL is going to be 9 months, 10 months, and then you're going to be as good as it. Like modern science is a beautiful thing. And that's why with Will Johnson, if he drops to 16, he's going to be the dude. He's rugged, okay? Just like the Nissan Armada. Okay, when it comes to Nissan Armada, they say go forth and conquer, and that's exactly what I think Will Johnson would do with the Arizona Cardinals if they draft him. It's clear that our player of the week is out here ready to conquer the road ahead with confidence, just like you can. In the all-new Nissan Armada or any of their outstanding vehicles, take the Nissan Armada, Rogue, or Pathfinder and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. Please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals, hit that subscribe button, man. Turn notifications on. This is it. Like, it's crazy. It's going to get real fast. And when I mean real, I mean expectations will be sky high. I don't like the term heads will roll. I think that's dumb. I think it's very absolute. Like, expectations that we're going to be discussing throughout this offseason. It's going to be fascinating because it's not as nuanced as it was when we started this journey together when Monti Ossenfort took over, because there were it was all unknown. All of it was unknown. Kyler Murray was hurt. Didn't know if they were going to bring back James Conner Budabaker. Didn't know if they were worthy of bringing back. Didn't know if Trey McBride was really going to take that jump that everybody thought. It was going to be difficult to see with Kyler Murray out. And then now everything is clear. There are no bad question marks anymore. The only question marks they're surrounding this is, will this team produce the way it's supposed to, the way it's set up to do, the way it's coached to do? And that's not going to change. That's pretty much what we're seeing and what we're going to be discussing throughout the entirety of the offseason. And we will centralize around Kyler Murray, of course, after the draft, after the schedule reveal, which is in May, which I'm super stoked about. And then, OTAs in some form or fashion start. Like, there is no offseason anymore. We get list season in July, and then bingo bango, we're in the we're in the preseason already. It's going to be crazy. So this is going to be really fun. This is going to be really fun, and the 2025 season is either going to be awesome or it's not going to be awesome, and there's going to be a lot of changes made personnel-wise, you would think, starting with number one. I still don't think that's going to happen. I think this is going to be fine. I think this is going to be the best year yet, but we'll see. I'm looking at a lot of people. Like, I don't look at all the mocks. There's some people that I enjoy. I like their analysis, things like that. Obviously, mock drafts is an exercise, but people have made a career out of it, so people take them very seriously, okay? People said fantasy football was a joke, and look what it is now. Like, mock draft season is not just an exercise anymore, especially this week. Like, the final mock drafts are ones that what they think teams are going to do, from who they talk to, from all the research they've done, from all the thousands of hours of tape they've watched. Like, this is it. So the whole mock thing, why I didn't really do any mock drafts this year, I can come up with other topics to discuss as opposed to, I picked that guy. It's like, who cares? I'm not a mock draft wizard. I'm not Monti Ossenfort. I'm not a draft guy in that, like, that deep into it where it has any sort of merit. I just figured we could talk about bigger picture things. The one thing that I'm starting to see a trend of, and when you look at mock drafts, see if you're seeing the same trend, the edge position isn't really frequented with the Arizona Cardinals at 16. I think it's a combination of a couple things. One, I think we're starting to see, like, the real pockets where offensive linemen can go. Real pockets where quarterbacks are going to go. Real pockets where are there going to be two running backs taken before the Cardinals at 16? Are there going to be two wide receivers taken before the Cardinals at 16? Like, there's only so many picks that can be made before the Cardinals pick. And I think the Cardinals will get a top 10 offensive tackle at 16 if they choose to go that way. Or they'll get a top 10 corner at 16 because there's quarterback. There's a couple offensive linemen that are going to go super high. There's a couple defensive linemen that are going to go super high. There's going to be Abdul Carter. Like, Jalen Walker looks to be a guy that's going to be top 10 now when he was mocked around the Cardinals at 16. This is, like, the transformation, the evolution of, like, how highly regarded specific players are. We're starting to see it now. Like, this is when things start to clear up. And I don't care about Will Johnson not being the fastest dude. I don't care that he was injured last year. Like, it's not like, that's the reason why he's dropping. Like, the amount of absolute studs that drop because they got injured their last year of college. Like, it's not like the Rondale Moore situation. Okay. Rondale Moore had an all-world freshman year at Purdue, and then he was injured the rest of his time in college. It's like, okay, that's different than missing a handful of games your last year or tearing your ACL like Garrett Williams did in December when he was in Syracuse. It's like, these aren't off the field issues. This is an injury. It's happened, and then move the hell on. And I've watched enough Will Johnson stuff to be like, oh my God, like if he's there at 16, that's the pick. I would completely punt on the offensive line if he's there at 16. Completely punt. And it's something that I think it's a bigger deal than just, mock drafters are bored of giving the Cardinals an edge rusher, defensive tackle at 16. It's more than that. The name that I was talking about before, as I teased, was James Pierce is looking to be like first pick of the second round now. It shows how volatile this draft, and anybody, if you're, not on Twitter, I can be your liaison here. So many guys are like, we don't know what the hell's going to happen. We don't know. We're trying. We have no idea what the hell's going to happen on this draft. I will go back to something that Marcus Mosher, who is one of my most trusted draft guys. He completely nerds out in the best way on it. He's for the 33rd team. He's does Pro Football Focus. He does Locked On Dynasty. He hosts Locked On Cowboys as well. He takes the top, I can't remember how many exactly, mock draft people, say 10, just for a round number. And he averages out the average draft position for each of the top 100 players. And he said that there are 148 players in the top 100 when you calculate it that way. And that's an extra round and a half of players in the top 100. Like, it's oddly satisfying to not, like, we haven't talked at all. And maybe I did you guys a disservice. I'm not exactly sure, but we haven't talked at all about, well, let's hope Monty gets it right. For the majority of the picks, Monti Ossenfort has gotten it right. We'll see, obviously, until TBD with B.J. Ojulari and Darius Robinson. The Cardinals did get an extra third-round pick to move back when they moved back, 10, 12 picks with Tennessee when they wanted Will Levis at the top of the second round a couple years ago. But, like, dude, we have no idea what the hell is going to happen. We know what the Cardinals need, which is, just a couple positions. And we know pretty strengthfully that the Cardinals are in a pretty good spot with who's making the picks. And if the Cardinals do move back, like the Josh Winefuss tweet said, he spoke with somebody that said, don't be surprised if the Cardinals try to sneak back into the first round. Like Will Johnson, Josh Simmons. I mean, that'd be a hell of a day one for the Cardinals. Because they've got needs, but they're not far off from having a roster that's absolutely ready to rip and then some. Be fascinating. These next couple of days are going to be fascinating. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Remember, without you, there is no me. I'll talk to you tomorrow.